Hello, today I'm answering the open tag why I started my channel. Well, I started my channel back in the end of last year, 2018, because I've been talking to people like Paddy Potato Peelers and a few other people, Big Red EDC, one or two others. And you get I would say, oh, I've got one of those, or I like that. And they say, well, what have you got? And I would tell them, and quite often they'd say, well, can you show us? Do you have a YouTube channel? Are you on Instagram? And I said, well, no, not really. So I started one up. And it struck me that what I really wanted to share was the fact that I live in the UK and we have very restrictive knife laws here. So a lot of knives that you would think of as perfectly innocuous and couldn't offend anybody no matter how hard you tried are in fact classed as offensive weapons here in the UK. For example, this one here, it's not actually mine, belongs to my little brother. I've just sharpened it for him, but it has maybe an inch and a half long blade, if that. But it's a lockback, and because it's a lockback, it's illegal. Others that you would think of, this little baby sodbuster, it's a liner lock. I've got another one here, another sodbuster. Again, this one's a lockback, offensive weapon. But that's an offensive weapon in the UK. But I could put my case sodbuster perfectly fine because it doesn't lock. It's a slip joint, sub 3-inch slip joint. Or one of these, which have really quite pointy, aggressive blades. I have a couple of those, not offensive weapons because they're sub 3-inch and they're slip joints. The little Menandy. You'd think you couldn't get anything less offensive than a Menandy, but no, it's got a lock. It's an offensive weapon. So anyway, I thought what I would do is I would share some of the things that are legal in the UK, just to give some idea of the breadth of knives which are still available to people, even if you have to obey these slightly odd laws. So I mean, if I took out the ones that are offensive weapons, these are still these are just a part of my collection. I've got quite a few more than this. I think all the rest are UK legal, and I say I've got about 50 or so that are, including about 10 or a dozen various Swiss Army knives. All of mine are non-locking ones. I've got some really quite expensive knives like the little ADV and the bigger ADV. And then I've got some little sort of budgets. This little Sinkovich designed Kershaw, the pub, 20 quid knife. So I was going to say the Rough Riders are really cheap, but then I've just taken them out because they're illegal. This very traditional handmade knife. Now I'm often very critical of these because the fit and finish on them is a bit rubbish, and they come completely blunt, or more or less. But I like these because they've got just a nice feel in the hand, and the longer you have them, the more they just feel nice in your hand. I have a few of those, that one, and that one. That's the same maker. And then I've got these two, which are Taylor's Eyewitness ones, which are stunning little knives. These are again handmade. These cost sort of silly money for what they are, considering they're just a little Barlow. This one here was over £200, so maybe $280 at the moment, when exchange rates were at a more traditional level. You might have thought of them as well over $300 for a tiny little knife like this, which, oops, I forgot to take that one out when I was taking out things, which is more than you would pay for a knife like this, which has got better steel and arguably a better design, and there's obviously a lot more of it. But I like these just because they look nice and they're fully functional. I mean, they come very sharp. They're handmade. This one's in Ramshorn. This was a lot cheaper, but but I like these. Anyway, I just wanted to be able to share these with people and show people, you know, you can have really nice, classy knives like this ADV, Andre de Villiers Impey, which to me is like, oops, if I can open it, a very nice knife, and a really, you know, a pretty expensive knife really when you think about it. I mean, these are over £350. Now you can buy those in the UK. For about the same amount of dollars. The exchange rate seems to work rather better for you in that. And then there are, you know, other things like the West there from Quiet Carry, a really nice little knife, not desperately expensive. Handmade knives from Spain with lovely burl wood on them, or this curly birch, you know, nice sort of stuff like that. There are lots of, and then of course American-made GEC knives, which I'm rather taken with. The fit and finish on GECs is just brilliant, but then they cost as much as, I mean, that knife there would cost about the same as this one. This one is completely handmade. I don't know. Every day I tend to carry a Swiss Army knife in my bag for the extra functionality, and the most important function that I like on these is the scissors. So I've got the Pioneer X with scissors, and I've got the Climber with scissors. I've got a little SD Classic with scissors, and on my keychain I have in a little pouch here, little pouch on the side, I have a Jet Setter, which is like a classic SD, but it doesn't have a knife blade, it just has a multi-tool. But I find that's very very useful for when you're going into, say, schools, which I do from time to time, or Scottish Parliament building, places like that, where you're not allowed knives. So it's useful to still be able to have your scissors and multi-tool and leave your knife in the car outside, so you've not actually got a proper blade on you. But anyway, that was the purpose. Oh, the other thing I'd been asked about slips. I have these slips. These ones are made by a guy called Simon Davidson. They're really nice, made in England, handmade slips. He makes them with, here we are, these are lies in them, which means you can put a Swiss Army knife or something like that into them. But if you want to put something slightly broader, like the Impey or these Barlows, they don't fit. So I had him make me these ones with no eyes in the top, and it means they're the same size of slip, but you can get obviously a slightly bigger knife in there. Anyway, that was the reason I started it, just so I could share. I'm not looking to garner any particular praise. I'm not looking to gain anything from any manufacturers. Every knife I show on here is either my own or was given to me. My daughter just brought that back from New York. My little brother gave me that one. He's lent me that. He lent me this, which is an British Army clasp knife, so I could do a comparison between that, a Sheffield made sort of copy of that, and the original naval version, which was issued from before the Second World War until the mid-80s, which I carried. Eventually I carried myself when I was a sub-lieutenant in the Royal Naval Reserve. And equally, I always say to people, you know, if you're in the UK and you have to abide by these UK laws, you cannot do better than an Enzo PK70 for your everyday carry knife. If you only ever buy one knife, buy one of these, whether it's this one or the carbon fibre one. This one is a G10 and titanium. This one is carbon fibre peel over G10. Doesn't matter which one. This one's lighter. It doesn't matter which one you choose, so long as you go for one of the full fat grinds. They're the best EDC knife you can buy in the UK at the moment. These well, the Wasps have got better steel, but and they probably cut a little bit better, but I think they just don't look as smart, and to carry it as if I could only ever have one knife, it probably wouldn't be this. It would be the Enzo. But if I want a knife that I'm going to use to do any sort of gardening type work or anything where I'm going to get mucky, or if I just want a utilitarian blade that I'm going to cut and cut and cut with, I'll go for this because it stays sharp for a long time. And even if you do damage or break it, they're 50 quid to replace. It's not the end of the world. Whereas the Enzos, and then particularly, if I'm going out with a suit jacket on, I usually have something like this in my pocket. If I'm not carrying that. But anyway, there we are. That's why I started it, just so I could share, just so you can see what's available to use in the UK if you are abiding by UK knife laws. Thank you.